Hi, this video is to give you a demonstration of the Formitize form builder. Now we have a dedicated team who can build your forms for you, but if you want to do them yourself, that's great, and this is the tool that you'll use. Okay, the form builder is divided into three clear sections. On the left hand side we have the toolbox. In the center we have the form itself, and then if I click on an item in the form settings magically appears on the right hand side. So three dedicated areas, and I'll just go through each one of them and how they work. Let's start with the toolbox. Now the form builder has been set up to be a really easy to use drag and drop solution, and the center is what we call WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get, so that as you're building the form here in the form builder, you get a very clear picture as to what the app's going to look like based on the form in the center. Every form must start with a header and a subheader. So in this case, if we're calling it, we'll call it the Formitize demonstration form, or the Formitize form builder. And as most forms, I guess the first section would be called something like customer details. Okay. Now on the left-hand side in the toolbox, we've got the structure, the entry fields, the multiple choice, and the advanced, and you just open those sections by clicking on them. The structure has the headers. The entry field is the more commonly used fields like text box, date, time, location, and so on. We have the multiple choice options, which are the checkbox, the radio button, and the drop downs. And then we have the advanced features, which are kind of the cool things, I guess. Things like the camera, the on-screen signature, the calculator, the drawing tool, the card payment option, our survey slider, the barcode reader, and the audio tool. So they're all wrapped up in the advanced box. Okay, so let's build a form really quickly and just show you how easy it is. Alright, so we're in the customer details section, so I'd like to get their customer's name, so I'm grabbing the text box and I'm dropping it into the form. We probably have a date and possibly a time box, and then their email address, and we'd like their address, so I'll grab the location and drop them in. There, look, we've finished the first section already. That's really how simple it is. Now the first question is full name. It's just there as a general text box at the moment, so I'm going to select that, and then I'll come across to the properties for this field and make the changes. Now the object name is probably the important one. If you're using an external database or we're linking via an API, you may need to change the field name. We'll put a default in there for you, so you don't really need to change that unless you're linking with something else. And then we'll simply quickly change that to customer full name. And as I'm changing it here in the field settings, the form itself is updating so you can see how it will look. Alright, so that's that. The date is already set for you. The time, now rather than time, you might want to change that to start time. So I just move across to the question field and change that to start time, and the form updates. Great, so that section really is finished, and it really is that fast. We'll add the next subheader now. Now we use subheaders to break the form up into sections so that it's much easier for the user to navigate and maneuver through the form. And it's also great for building as well. You can close the sections that you've finished and then just concentrate on the area that you're building. So in the subheader, I'd like to bring in a multiple choice option, so we'll bring in a checkbox, and then I'd like to bring in another text box. Okay, so and I'm going to make that text box invisible. So I'm going to select the item and then deselect the visibility. We'll come back to that in a moment. Alright, so for the enter question, this is a multiple choice question. So I've selected it and now I've moved across to the properties. Now it's a checkbox. I can change that here to a radio or a drop down if I want to, but we'll leave it as checkbox for now. And then we're going to ask a question, male or female. Okay. Now there's a number of properties here as part of this field setting that you can go through and adjust to suit your form. Things like whether it's required and making it mandatory, whether it's locked, which means that the user can see it but can't change it. And there's a number of other properties which we can go into in more detail in other videos. This is really just to give you an overview of how the form builder works. Okay, now the possible answers are added into this gray items box at the bottom. we've built it this way so that you can copy and paste answers from other forms and solutions and literally just paste them in here. I'll manually type these. So we have male and we have female as the two options, and then I hit add. So that has added them into the items box and has also added them into my form in the center. So I can see there's the options. Now I'll just delete the dash because we don't need that. That's really for just multiple choice. And now you've got male or female and then the two options available. Great. Now with multiple choice we then have the ability to add events, which triggers actions based on the answers. So I'm going to select events, which is next to properties here in the field settings tab. And really there's three sections to note. First of all, it will tell you if there are any existing events. Now this is a new form, so no events currently exist. The next section is to select the answer below that is going to trigger the event. So in this case, if the answer is male, we're going to make the question below visible. So what I'm doing is grabbing the make visible and dragging it onto the target field, and you can see that the green tick appears, and when I'm happy that I've found the right target, I release that and that event is created. Okay, so that's really as simple as it is to create a new event. You select the answer below that is going to trigger the event, and then you select the action. Now the actions include making visible, making invisible, making an answer compulsory where they must answer it, or the reverse where it was compulsory, it now becomes optional. And we can also assign set values. So that could be a numeric value or an email address or a number of other properties that can be assigned to an answer if it's been selected. Okay, so then we come back to the next one, which is the text, and we might make that age, for example. And that's going to be a number, so it's not a text box, it's going to be a number, so I'll adjust that. And you can see that the icon has changed. Okay, so in this particular example now, if the user selects male, the age question appears. If they select female, then it doesn't. Simple as that. And we've just created some nice functionality in that form without too much trouble at all. Okay, so that's really how simple this is, and the final subheader might be something like sign off. And in that section we would have the time of the sign off, and then we would bring in an advanced feature like a signature, and on the signature we'll just say please sign here in the field settings, and that's job done. So as you can see, in just a few simple steps we've created a fairly comprehensive registration form in no time at all. So I really just wanted to give you a flavor for how the form works. There's some options at the top here where you can save, so you can save that form, and when you're happy with the finished result you can then deploy it, which means it will be available to the app users. And then we also have a revert function which will basically delete the changes since the last save. Okay, so there we are, the toolbox on the left, the form builder on the right, and the field settings on the right hand side related to the field that you've selected in the form. I hope that makes sense. I hope you have lots of fun building your own forms, and as I said, there's a lot of help guides to take you through anything that you're not sure about. Thanks for your time.